Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Battle of Ontario Hockey Podcast, featuring a Senators fan and a Leafs fan. We're here to talk about your two favorite teams, the rest of the NHL, local hockey, hockey all around the world, and to bring back memories from your favorite hockey teams and players. If you love the Leafs, Sens, B-Sens, NHL, or any other hockey, including the late Belleville Bulls, you are going to want to tune into our podcast. The gloves are off, the buckets are spinning, let's get the chirps flying. Welcome to the BOOclub!
Hey guys, welcome into episode 3 of the Battle of Ontario Hockey Podcast, Season 2. I'm Flem. He's Brooks over there with the Ottawa Senators hat. He's all excited. Mr. Brady Tkachuk himself is back in the lineup. So, Brokey, his first intermission right now. We're recording in the middle of the Sens game. How's Brady looking? Is he on pace for 100 points this year or what, bud?
He's going to score more than Matthews and Marner put together. No. He's got an assist. Batherson scored, and he put a nice play down the wall, and Batherson put a nice shot on net. So a good start. I put the jersey on, but it's my wife's. I don't have one that's that big or big enough for me, unfortunately. But no, I thought I'd show the jersey, and we talk about it. And it's done. The signing is done. We're here, locked him in for 7 years. I think it's 8.12 or something like that.
Yeah, about that.
You're already going to ask me. I'm going to answer it right away. I love the signing. Because you've got your guy who we know he's going to be captain. He's our main guy. He's the workhorse. He's the heart and soul of this organization. So at the end of the day, you want to get him signed. You got to get him signed long term, and you do it for $8 million. I love it. He brings so much more than points, and you know it too. And you got a guy that's you're Mark Messier. You're that type of player. You got to lock him up. Simple as that. So a little bit more than I want to spend. I think 8 was kind of my max, but I mean, for the little bit more they spent, I mean, I'm absolutely no problem because it got done.
Yeah, he's pretty much at 8, right? It's like 8.12 or something. Like, that's an $8 million deal in my book. So, you know what? You got it done. It's a little weird. Like, if that deal was on the table for the last month, like they've been saying, why it took so long to get done. Like, did the guy not want to show up to camp? Like, I don't know. I don't really get the whole thing. Like, I don't know why he missed camp. It kind of seems a little fishy to me. Just not the fact that he wants it to town. Just like, it's weird that he didn't want to be at camp. Like, he did not want to come and do the work. Like, that's where you kind of get into shape. But who knows? Weird thing. Good for Ottawa. It's definitely a signing they needed to make, right? It's going to keep the fan base happy there. And yeah, you got your leader, you got your captain. So it's just something for Ottawa to build around. It's absolutely couldn't happen where you could lose Tkachuk. So as a Leafs fan, I can say I'm genuinely happy that Tkachuk signed there. Put the drama behind you and get the rebuild going. When Ottawa's better, it just creates that rivalry between Ottawa, the Leafs, Montreal. Just makes the whole division better. Just makes the NHL better. So I'm glad it happened. Good on Eugene and Pierre Dorian for getting it done. And looking forward to Brady going. How many more times they play the Leafs? 2 more times this year. That's all, eh? So 0-2.
Yeah, it's shitty this year. Too many times last year, not enough this year. But it is what it is. The one thing I will say on this, and the problem with these contracts is you're hearing like, oh, he's offered this, he's offered that. Was he offered that, and did he want? Like maybe he was asking 9 minutes start. We don't know. Yeah. The one thing I will say, and I have a really good feeling that this is the truth behind it, because Pierre Dorian really he wouldn't elaborate on the topic, but he kind of brought it up. And he said, Eugene really stepped up to the plate. He said, I can't explain to what the reasoning why Eugene stepped up to the plate. So right there, that tells me, hey, this isn't the money. This isn't what he's being paid. Okay. The thing that the rumors that were going around and what was kind of being said is, he needed to be kind of promised that, hey, we are going to be going for a Stanley Cup, right? Down the stretch, like in the next few years or whatever it is, we're going to have to sign guys. You need to get it to the cap. So I'm thinking there's something promised. I don't know if it was certain players or certain amount spent that had to be spent, something along those lines. And that was part of the reason that he was kind of holding out like, hey, I don't want to sign here long term if you're going to sit there and be 15, 20 million under the cap.
Yeah.
Right. Or sorry. Yeah. Under the cap. Right. And if you're going to be 15, 20 million under the cap, you're really not going for it. You don't have to be at the cap. You can be 5 million or I don't know, 10 is probably too far, but even 5 million, right? You're close.
Yeah.
But if you're 10 and over, come on, you're just, it's not enough. And it's something in those numbers and they know when it won't come out. I would highly doubt, but it's something like that where it was a guarantee. Now Could they just lie and say, yeah, we're going to spend that, not do it? They could, but I mean, all that's going to do is piss him off and ask for a trade eventually. So I really love it. I love what they've done in Ottawa, and I've got a lot of different topics, maybe not a lot of different topics, a few different things to talk about because there's lots on the go as far as where they are, where they were, and where they're going to go, and what team you'd kind of choose. And, what people are they happy with it? Sens fans. So we're going to elaborate on that. I know that kind of sounds confusing. So anyways, I'm going to start just because we're in the topic with Ottawa. And it's kind of funny. Karlsson is in Ottawa right now. It's 1-1 Ottawa and San Jose as we speak. San Jose tied it up in the early on in the second period. Anyways, to talk on that, when Erik Karlsson was in Ottawa in the 2017 playoffs, the guy was fucking phenomenal. And that playoffs, he was the best player in the world. He was better than everybody. He was better than Crosby. He was better than McDavid. He was better than everybody. That playoffs.
Just like two side notes on that. He made two of the nicest hockey plays you'll ever see in your life. In those, like the pass, the pass, and then fucking there was the one against Boston too, where like he circles around the whole ice and then makes I think an unreal pass to
Hoffman again on a one-time.
No, it wasn't Hoffman. It was the third line center. It was the guy you picked up from Pittsburgh. I can't remember. Broussard. It was to Broussard.
Oh, was it Broussard? You're right. You might be right on that. But I don't play you're talking about.
Two of the nicest plays you'll ever see. Like, man,
yeah. And he was so good. So, I'm sitting there an Ottawa fan going, man, we got this player. Like, he's the man. He's fucking best defenseman in the world. And then they trade him. I know I was pissed. I mean, who wouldn't be, right? You're thinking, why would you trade this guy? You're never going to get what you can for him. Blah, 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 blah. We got some picks. We got some younger guys. We got some players, whatever. We did get a bunch. And then, now we're 3 years later, basically, two or 3 years later, whatever it is. Looking back, I'm like, holy shit, I absolutely love this trade. Like, it's fucking phenomenal. Well, first off, Karlsson just hasn't performed near as good as he did in 2017. And he's had injuries and stuff. Maybe that plays a factor. The other thing I think that plays a big factor is he went to San Jose. They already have Brent Burns, who's another really good defenseman. He's a right shot. So there's only so much playing time. So now when you're not the only man and the only guy relied on, you know what I mean? You're not the man. You're part of.
Yeah.
So I think that's hurt him a little bit, and obviously injuries and getting a little older. I don't know, and it's just not the same. So I saved it here. So the Sharks received Erik Karlsson and Francis Perron. I don't know who Francis Perron is. Do you? No. Anyways, doesn't matter. Ottawa got Chris Tierney, okay, and Josh Norris. Josh Norris is their first line center. Chris Tierney's played 3 years for Ottawa. He's a depth guy, but hey, he's been in there. And then a first round pick, Tim Stützle. Second round pick, Matt Sogard, supposed to be one of the best. He plays for Belleville right now as a goaltender. Zach Ostapachuk. I know we should know that, and I just can't say it proper. But he's in Belleville, I believe. And then Dylan DeMello, who we then traded for a third round pick. And I forget who that was. We also got Rudy Balcers, who was weird. Ottawa kind of released him last year, and San Jose ended up picking him up. But right there, I'm just going to point out two guys. Don't worry about the rest. Tim Stützle, Josh Norris. Would you trade Tim Stützle and Josh Norris for Erik Karlsson right now? Not a fucking chance. Not a chance. What all the other guys? There's how many? Four other guys there. Put them all to the side. Doesn't matter. Those are bonuses. I don't even know if I'd go 1-for-1 right now with Tim Stützle and Josh Norris. You never know. Just because Karlsson's not playing where he was in 2017.
And just realistically, what could you trade Karlsson for at all in today's market?
Like $11.5 million. In a year. Are you kidding me?
You probably couldn't trade Karlsson for a bag of pucks right now. Like, he's probably not movable. Like, no, I'm serious. Like, no one's going to take the cap hit for 5 or 6 more years.
Well, unless you're eating it. Unless you're eating part of it. But even still, like,
unless you're Phoenix.
Okay, they're going to eat $3 million. Like, there's still $8.5 million. Is he worth that?
The only way he's moving is if he goes to Phoenix and he joins, like, Pavel Datsyuk and Chris Pronger, like, carving up the books there. Friggin' man, how long's Pronger been out of the league? Like, literally 12, 13 years. And I think he might have just came off like the Coyotes books like a couple years ago too.
Pronger was on it. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they traded for the cap. Like, he retired like 3 years. They traded like 3 years later. They just take his cap hit. Like,
that to me doesn't make sense though, because they don't have any money. So I don't get the whole.
They're not paying him money because he's retired. It's just literally the cap hit. Because once you sign,
So when he retires, unless he retires on like an LTIR, right?
Well, no, the rule is if you sign your contract post 35 years old and then you retire, you have to keep the cap hit. So just say Andrew Shaw, for example, like, I think his cap hit disappears because he didn't sign the deal post 35 when he was 35 years old. Pronger signed his deal like when he was 36. So then he retires, and I don't know when he retired, 38, 39. Whatever he's left is he's still got that counts towards your cap. So then Philadelphia slips the cap hit to Phoenix. They're like, oh, we literally just want to be at the bottom of the floor. Like, it's no real money. Yeah. That's the thing.
So then they're actually not paying, let's say it's $4 million. Yeah. It's $4 million less they had to spend.
Yes, it's exactly. They're not spending any. They have $4 million in fake money on their books. They're not paying him a dime. Yeah. It's the same thing with the Datsuk thing. Like, they traded for Pavel Datsuk after he decided to go back to Russia. And, whatever I don't know his cap it was. It was
essentially their retirement thing, right?
Yeah. They're literally just trying to spend money. Like, it's kind of like the Brady thing saying, get to the cap. Like, Phoenix ain't getting to the cap, man. Like, they're trying not to.
Yeah, it's funny how you can manipulate the system a little bit with that. Doesn't it seem that way?
Yeah, no, you can. Like the Leafs always talk about, there's just loopholes kind of built in. That's why they have, I think it's like Lawrence Gilman, like the capologist there. I think he's the assistant GM, but he was part of the lawyers that wrote the cap or the CBA. So he knows all the ins and outs about the salary cap, right? So
yeah,
and that's kind of, but so there's loopholes. They figured them out, and the NHL will have to tighten that up, I guess, next CBA, or just get rid of the cap. Like, God, I hate it. Man, the NHL would be so much better without a cap. Just when is the last time you saw like a real big trade happen? Like, just a 1-for-1 kind of thing. Like, you can't get rid of any players now. You can't make your team any better because, if you want to bring a $5-6 million player in, you probably got to ship a $4 or $5 million player out. Like, all the top 15 teams in the league are within $1 million of the cap. Like, there's no way to make a trade kind of in like a 1-for-1 deal anymore. So NHL, either get rid of the cap or make some sort of loopholes where you can kind of go over the cap and make a trade. I don't know. I want to see some trades. I love when trades were happening. Like, trade deadline day used to be one of the best days in the league. Like, just guys spending money like crazy. Now it's like guys are just literally letting free agents go all the way to like professional contract, like PTOs, like professional contracts, just because they don't want to commit any money to them, right? Just, I don't know, just bogus. I think the league would be better if they got rid of it now.
I disagree with you. I agree with what you're saying with the trades, 100%. But I mean, as far as just letting it go, I mean, if you're a Leafs fan and you have fucking $1 billion to spend, of course you're going to say that. But I mean, how many teams can do that, right? Yeah. There's what? A quarter, maybe.
There's got to be.
All you're going to do is you're going to shrink the middle class of teams. No, but literally, right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
And you're going to have a class up here and a class down here, and it really, honestly, so I mean, it's tough. You're going to have to get, and the problem is, I can't see it changing backs because you need to get all the, or is it the majority of owners or a certain percentage of owners to have to sign off on that, which. Yeah. Most of those owners wouldn't because they know what's going to happen. Toronto signing McDavid for $30 million next year. Like,
I agree. There's got to be some sort of cap for competitive balance. I just wish they would work towards finding more ways to make trades possible. Like right now, especially with the flat cap, it's just not happening. Like there probably won't be a big trade all year just because even if you want to bring in, I don't know, I'm just going to throw a name out there like Phil Kessel. Phil Kessel's apparently on the market. His contracts, I think his cap hit's like $6.8 million. The Leafs still pay $1.2 million of that, if you believe it or not. But what contending team has $7 million to take on Phil Kessel? There's just not many of them. So it just kind of limits the fun of the league. Like, that's something that would be a buzz for the NHL. Like, they'd get more promotion, more goodwill to that if they let it happen. So I think they've got to find a way to kind of encourage more trades. I agree, though, you cannot have a league where just say Arizona, like, I don't know, Arizona dogs it now, but like, if there was no cap, like Arizona would probably win 2 games all year. They'd field the worst team ever. The big teams would all load up. And there has to be, you have to find a balance. But I wish there was more trades. I wish the NHL would find a way to encourage it a little bit more.
So now that we're on the cap, we might as well stay on the cap. I got a couple things I want to talk about. We're already with Ottawa, so let's stick with Ottawa. But then I want to talk about Toronto and their cap situation and their signings and such. So the thing I want to touch on is I talked about this a little bit earlier. Was talking about like sends that. Would you take the team from before, kind of what they're making, to what's up and coming? So just a couple stats here. Mark Stone, $9.5 million. Zibanejad, $8.5. This is their cap hit, by the way. Duchesne, $8. Carlson, $11.5. And Pajot at $5 million. On those 5 players, that's $42.5 million. Not quite what Toronto has on 4 players, but still, it's a lot. So, I mean, Ottawa wouldn't have been able to keep these guys anyways because of what they're making. So, at the end of the day, I'm going to say this, on my opinion, and I never thought this at the start, but because it's been a battle with the rebuilding and everything, but I'm happy with what they've done. I'm glad because they weren't keeping it. We had a shot with these guys. and we didn't, our best shot in 2017 and everything went well for us. We still didn't make the finals. 18 was a shit show, and we're only going to go downhill from there with that same core. We trade away, we get these picks. I mean, the Carlson one's phenomenal, and I love where we're going with the team. So as with the cap, again, we just talked about the cap. Now you're saying it. I love that Ottawa did that because they knew we're not going to win. And if we keep these guys, we're going to have to pay them even more, which means we're not going to be able to go out and get more guys. If that makes any sense. Yep. So my opinion, I love what they did. And I think they're doing the right thing. I don't know if they're going to be able to sign all these up and coming guys in the next 3 years. They might lose one or two of them. But if you can sign 90% of them, then it's going to give them one hell of a team the next 6-7 years. Your thoughts on Ottawa, and then we'll go to Toronto.
Yeah, so I just think in general, like, I think that's the way the league's trending now is you got to win when these guys are when they're young and on their entry-level deals. Like, it's kind of transitioned to the Leafs. Like, the Leafs were a better team when Matthews was in his second year on a $3 million deal because you had those extra pieces. You had, JVR and Bozak for your depth. Like, the third line you could throw out there 3 or 4 years ago is way better than the Kerfoot, Simmons, Amodio line you're kind of going to throw out there now. I know that he's not a third line, but I mean, the league has kind of gotten to a point where it's no longer an old man's game. It's for the young guys. And if your young guys produce on those entry-level deals, that affords you the chance to go out there and bring in those guys. Like Ottawa tried to do with Duchesne in 2018. They had some cap space because they had a few young guys. They went and got Duchesne. It didn't work out, right? But I think that proves the point that young guys are where it's at now. And if you can strike lightning with those guys when they're young, coming out of the draft in the first 3 or 4, even 5 years when they're not making tons of money, that's your opportunity to win. It's the same thing in football with quarterbacks. All the winning teams in football now, besides last year with Tom Brady, they win when their quarterback comes in on like entry-level deals when they're making as little as possible the most important positions. So I just think that's part of the reason why drafting, developing so key now. You've got to win when those guys are young. And yeah, Ottawa obviously made the right call. Like, could you imagine a team with Duchesne and Zibanejad? Like, it'd probably be you'd probably be in the same boat you were last year. Like, you're a bottom 5, 10 team in the league, except you're just spending that much more money. You develop the kids, and I think they obviously made the right call with it.
Well, especially how most of their game has declined. I mean, I don't mind Zibanejad. Duchesne isn't worth $8 million. Carlson, if you could get him back anywhere close to 2017 playoffs, the guy is worth $15 million. But right now, he's worth maybe 3 or maybe 4 to 5. Stone is kind of iffy too. I mean, playoff times is his thing, but he also shit the bed last year against Montreal.
Well,
like, he wasn't worth $9.5 million.
I think they even said when they signed Stone, like, I think the GM even came out and said, like, we might eat a little shit on the back end of this deal, but
they wanted him for now.
For the first 3 or 4 years to go win a Stanley Cup, they're willing to pay that price, 3 or 4 years down the line. So
exactly. Yep. Yeah. So definitely interesting. Pajot, $5 million. I like Pajot. I was such a big fan of him. I mean, I know he would only be like a third liner on a really good team, but he's doing really well in the Islanders, and I like the Islanders. I love the fan base there.
He is a third liner on a really good team.
On a really good team, but he's an awesome third liner. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, he would be probably the best in the league.
No, like right now, like the Islanders are unreal.
That's what I mean. Exactly. But I mean, if he was in Ottawa, I'm kind of comparing that. He kind of played up and down the lineup a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyways, I think we both agree on that. And the next thing, let's get to the Leafs. But while we're at the cap, now I have a topic we'll bring up.
Okay.
Is I was talking with one of my employees, a big Leafs fan, Owen Dever, but we were just talking about, like, we were looking up, he was looking up when we were driving their contracts. So Matthews has this year and 2 years left. So he has less than 3 years left.
Yeah.
And he's being paid 11 and a half. Am I wrong?
11.6 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So 11.6. That's right. He's going to want $15 million come the end of this contract. There's
probably,
like, and if the cap is going to go up, who knows? So the Leafs, in my opinion, they got to win in the next 3 years, the way I see it, or else they're going to take a hit somewhere, or they have to retool or redo something. If they rebrand or they rebuild, they're not winning for now. But unless but Matthew putting up 50, 60 goals. I mean, what's your thoughts on that? Like, how big do you think, honest opinion, how big do you think the Leafs window is to win a Stanley Cup?
The Leafs window is within the next 2 years. And I say that because, just say in theory, the Leafs get bounced in the first round again this year, and you go into next year and Matthews has got 2 years left on his deal, and you see no noticeable improvements to the team. Are you really going to take the chance of letting Austin Matthews walk to free agency? There's no doubt in my mind that if you end up trading Austin Matthews, and I did go to the Leafs game Saturday, and I was talking this with a buddy on the way up, if you don't think you can re-sign Austin Matthews come the middle of next year, you have to look at trading him in the next season, the 2022-2023 season, to jumpstart that retool. There is literally no way you can let Austin Matthews walk to free agency. It was a little weird because he only signed a 5-year deal this last deal. All the big guys are signing 7-8-year deal, taking up UFA years. Austin Matthews gave up 0 UFA years in his last contract. So that makes me think something's up. Sure, maybe he comes back to Toronto, which is, best case scenario, but there is a 0% chance you can let Austin Matthews walk out of those doors without getting picks. So if you get bounced in the first round this year, I'd give it half a season before I start thinking about trading Matt Austin. If you can't get him in for the 2024-2025 season when he's due up, you got to deal him. If you don't, your team is sunk. You still got Tavares for 4 more years. He's not going to be the same guy in 4 years. Man, Marner's got 4 years left at 11. I don't know if Marner's going to score 11 goals this year. Fuck, the guy never shoots the puck. Drives me crazy. He gets the puck in the slot. He gets the puck. He could on Saturday night. He had 2 chances at the open net. He couldn't even shoot it past a defenseman. Like, I don't know. It was just weird. So I'm with you in the sense that 100% the Leafs have to win the next 3 years, and all those guys are coming up to. I think Muzzin comes up too in a few years. Riley's up this year. So there's just so many guys that are kind of coming up on deals, and Matthews obviously the big one. But I'd give them 2 years, Brokey. I'd say if they don't make a serious run this year, you've got to reevaluate what direction you're taking this team and how to retool it, because a full-on rebuild in Toronto isn't going to work again. Like, you got all these guys in. The Leafs can't bottom out and be the last place team in the league again. If God forbid something happens, they got to go out and do something and retool on the fly. There's no way this fan base is going through another rebuild the next 3 years.
And here's the thing, to look at the last rebuild, okay? A lot happened for them. Like, you fucking picked up Johnny Tavares, who was 11 million, but he could have made more. Now, I'm still gonna question whether that was the best call long term or not. But still, you picked him up. You got Matthews, who's probably the third best player in the world. Yeah. Right. I mean, he's gonna score 60 one of these years. Yeah. Like, how many teams, even if they bottom out, can get a guy like that? Like, when you bottom out, that doesn't mean you're getting Matthews. Doesn't mean you're getting a guy scoring 60 goals, right? And you got Marner at fourth, and then you got Nylander. Like, you got some good players there from being able to do that, but you got to win. So I think, I mean, I would have already started retooling. I tried lightly, lightly retooling.
Yeah, I agree.
I would have already moved Marner, Nylander by now. Yeah. And it's funny I said that, because 2 years ago I wanted to get, and even last year I would have said get rid of Nylander, Now for me it's the opposite. I mean, Nylander is probably, he's their best forward right now. I mean, Matthews hasn't played much, but the kid's really hot, and he plays with jump. Now playoff time he doesn't.
He's competing more. He's competing more than he regularly does, for sure.
Yeah. Marner, like you say, I mean, there's something going on with him. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he just his confidence, but he's got to turn around. He has to be better than that. He was shit last playoffs, and he knows it. But it's like, then you have to change. Like, if what you're doing isn't working, you have to do different, right? And it doesn't have to be a huge difference, but it's got to be different. So Riley will be the big thing too. Like, he's up. Is he going to sign? I mean, you've already switched the goaltending, which Campbell looks really good so far, I think. I know they lost the other night, but it was only 2-1. Did he play? He played, right?
Yeah, he has played, yeah.
So, I mean, like, you allow 2 goals. That's not horrible. You're blaming it on the goalie.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing I don't think Riley's back next year, because the fact, like, look what some of these defensemen are getting paid. Like, Charlie McAvoy's getting $9.5 million a year. Like, Riley's just as good a defenseman as McAvoy. But if Riley wants $9 million, you're gonna have to get it somewhere else, because it's physically not possible for Leafs to do it. I don't even think, like, they'd have to play with 3 lines to make it happen, and even at that point, it'd be dicey. And here's the other thing. With the goaltending situation, like, this is Campbell's last year. So let me double check this here. I think Campbell's coming up. So Campbell's a UFA at the end of this year. You got Mrazek for 3.8. Brokey, if you were Dubas right now, would you go to Jack Campbell and just say, Jack, I want to sign you today. So I'm going to give you like a $4 million deal. Here's like, or 4-year deal. Here's like $3 or $4 million a year. Would you take that gamble on Campbell right now? Because honestly, Mrazek made it 1 game, like 2 periods before he got hurt. Campbell's the only option you have right now. Like, if you're going to go into next year with Austin Matthews coming up in 2 years, you need a fucking goalie. And Jack Campbell's the only guy you got in the system right now. Like, he's the only guy that's proven he can be a starting goalie in the NHL. So do you go right now and say, Jack, here's 4 years, $4 or $5 million. Is that the gamble you take right now, or do you let it ride out? Like, what happened to Campbell wins a playoff series? The guy's going to want 6 or 7. Like, if I was Dubas, I'd be making my claim on Campbell right now. I think he's looked good enough to start the year. The guys obviously like him. He was a high pick. He's been a good goalie in junior. I would take the gamble on Campbell right now.
And you're right. Like, it's at that point now where they're so close to the cap that they can't keep waiting things out, because all that's doing is either the guy sucks, so you don't want him, so you lost him anyways, or the guy's good, and now you got to pay him more. Mm-hmm. So you might as well pay him, and then if it doesn't work out, you try and trade him.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think
realistically,
I think you got to take that gamble with him right now.
Is he going to take $3 or $4 million a year? Is that what you said?
Well, I just like, he's been a starting goalie for all of 14 weeks now. Like, we took over the second half last year in the playoffs. So, if just say, for example, the Leafs are in first or second place come the All-Star break, and then you start talking contract with Jack Campbell, I bet you he wants more at the All-Star break than he does right at this exact moment. Like, he's happy to be playing hockey right now, happy to be being the starting goalie. People love him. We're at the game Saturday. People are chanting his name. They're just chanting soup. The guy loves it. I would take a contract to his agent right now and just say, I would try to get one of those Justin Hall bargain deals. Like, here's 4 years at lower than what you could probably get. Like, if you signed a 2-year deal, maybe you get $5 or $6 million. Here's just 4 years. Just take the money and stay here. I would pitch him that right now, and I would try to get it done. And I think that's a smart thing for Dubas to do right now. You need a goalie this year, next year, and even if you need a tandem situation, you need Campbell in on a good deal. He can't be making $6 or $7 million. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So I actually like that. So there you go. Your talk with Fleming broke about the salary cap and all the issues with it. So we'll have to look back and we'll see later on this season, if anything changes about trades and bringing guys in, and if they end up signing anybody. But like I said 3 years at least, but I guess I wasn't even talking about whether they're going to trade him or not. I mean, they got to be trying to sign him beforehand, but I just don't see it. But anyways.
It's so weird he didn't give up any UFA years. That's the weirdest thing, is like a 5-year deal for Austin Matthews. Like, I don't know. How do you think?
What do you mean he doesn't give up any UFA? So when he's done, is he still restricted?
No, he's a free. He's a free agent in 2024, the 2024-25 season. That's when Matthews deals up, and that's the first year he's eligible to become a UFA. He gave up 0 UFA years. So just say the Leafs signed it for what? Say they signed it for 4 years, 1 year shorter. He'd be an RFA at the end of the deal. But no, they walked him right to free agency. So something's weird.
It's weird.
Yeah, weird.
It's really strange that they would even sign that.
And you know what the rumor was? The rumor at the time was because the Leafs stepped up really early for Matthews and paid him a lot of money. There was a rumor that Arizona was going to give him literally, I think the max you can give someone is 20% of the salary cap. There was a rumor that if Matthews made it to RFA, like if he got out of that year and wasn't under contract, Arizona was going to offer sheet him 8 years times the maximum, which would have been $15 million a year. So that's the rumor why Dubas stepped up when he did and gave him the 5 years, 11.6, because he thought something fishy was going to happen in the offseason. So when they signed him mid-year, I think to avoid that whole situation.
But they couldn't get him for any more years than 5.
That's what the weird thing. Why couldn't they? If you give him 11.5, you got to get him more than 5 years. It's just, I don't know. Something does not happen. When you got to trust your gut sometimes, and my gut says something's not right about this situation. So if you get,
I never thought of it that way, but you're right. It's his first year that he can walk.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Usually you're going to sign a guy, keep him to before, and it's some sort of bridge deal, or it's a year or two after. That way you're getting 2 years.
Yeah. What would you think, Brokey, if you offered, one of your guys at your company said, hey, I want to bring you back next year. I'll give you a $5 raise an hour. And he says, let me think about it. Chances are alarm bells are going off in your fucking head right now. Something weird's going on, so I don't know. I would tread lightly if I was Dubas there, and his job's on the line with that one. Matthews cannot walk. Matthews cannot leave for nothing. If he's going to leave.
He's going to pull the Johnny T, buddy. He's going to pull the Johnny T.
You can't have a Tavares situation happen. You can't have it. You got to get the picks and prospects for him. It's like Carlson. You got whatever you could for Carlson. At the time you didn't like it. It turned out good. You can't let him walk for nothing.
Yeah. Just think of what you could pull for that. But anyways, Bud, want to move on. Maybe we'll move on to a couple things around the league.
Well, I got someone here I want to say first here, Brokies. I wanted to give a shout out to a sponsor, Rashat's Home Hardware in Tweed. So for any of your home projects, and you're looking to renovate the house or do any work before winter, give Rashat Home Hardware in Tweed a call. These guys are the most honest and reliable guys around. Tons and tons of stuff in stock for any of your renovation needs. So if you're out in the Tweed area, Tweed, Madoc, look up Chris Rashad and Rashad Home Hardware, a partner of Pay Forward Sports and BOOclub Sports.
Awesome. Yeah, I was actually there yesterday.
Yeah.
I was doing a job in Tweed and I stopped in to get a couple of things. And you know what? The staffs, I just like the places that are a little bit smaller, like not tiny where they don't have enough, but they're big enough, like medium size, we'll call them, where you go into the store, it's big enough, they got everything, but you can get help. And you don't have to walk 16 miles in the store, even though I probably need to walk 16 miles. I got my triple chin. But just a few things around the league. I'm going to say the three of them, and then we'll touch on each of them.
Okay.
First one is Montreal. Horrible start. They're 0 for 4. Chicago Blackhawks have gotten off to a slow start, which we didn't predict. And the other one we didn't predict, which I don't think anybody's predicted. I'm going to say it twice so you guys hear it because you're probably not going to believe it the first time. The Buffalo Sabres are 3-0. Let me say it again. The Buffalo Sabres, it's 2021, are 3-0. Braden Dafoe's got a big chub. Let's just say that.
Without Jack Eichel. Without Jack
Dafoe's
Eichel.
probably going, did we win 3 games last year? Well, Jesus, anybody predict that? You don't even have Eichel. Like what? And we haven't even got into depth with that Eichel situation, but it's just a complete shit show. The guy wants a surgery. They won't allow him to do it. It's just what a joke. Like I just don't get that whole situation, and they can't trade him because no one knows what his future is. No one knows how hurt he is. It's just an absolute disaster, dumpster fire. From what anything I've read about Buffalo, it's just a shit show.
Yeah, for sure. And the Eichel situation's another kind of trust your gut instinct. Like if you got a guy there that's not going to trust your team doctors, something bigger is at play. Like from the start, I said this is just Eichel wanting out of town. Like if he's not going to go with the treatment the team prescribes to him, something's off with that situation. Like the guy obviously wants out. Now you move Dylan Cousins up to your first line center, and the team starts winning. So something is so weird there. Like man,
Team Canada, baby, Team Canada. Remember him?
Dylan Cousins, Jeff Skinner's on the first line.
Skinner scored the other night too, so good for him because he's had a rough couple of years.
Yeah.
And I know they signed into a big contract, and the expectations were a lot higher. So I always like to see a guy rebound. Hopefully he can have an all right year.
Isn't Craig Anderson the number 1 goalie there too?
I think he's on the team. I don't know whether he's number 1 or what.
He's number 1, yeah.
But I think it's kind of a bit of a 50-50. But it'd be good to see. I hope he plays when Buffalo goes to Ottawa this year.
Yeah.
Because he deserves a big standing in Ottawa, no doubt about it. He did a lot for that organization. So, but anyway, Buffalo 3-0. We'll have to follow this and see how they're doing each week. Maybe we'll have a Buffalo train. We'll call it the Daffy train.
We'll get the Daffy segment.
And watch it go off the tracks in about a month. See you later. The other one here, I predicted it, and I did predict it, Dave Amy, because I bet you $100, and I should have bet all those other pricks that were on my Facebook, because there was about 3 or 4 that wanted to bet, and I just said, no, let's bet 100. Dave Amy wants to bet me. He's got the balls. I'll bet him, and he did. So, anyways, my prediction was Montreal's going to have an off year. Weber might not even come back, from what I'm hearing. Price, who knows when he's going to come back? Nobody predicted that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was hurt, and then now we think it's not substance abuse, right? Like
they haven't said what it is, but he's in the program. So
yeah. So, anyways, it doesn't matter. We hope the best for both of those guys.
For sure.
Best goalie in the world when he's on. There's no doubt about it. But you lost Kotkaniemi too, and I know he's not one of your high end guys, but you can only lose so many players, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing to go on with that is I've done this before, I'm going to do it again. I'm comparing them to Ottawa. Ottawa, and a lot of teams do this, but 2017, everything went for them. 2018, nothing. It just didn't work out. Yeah. And you can't always go your way. It just can't. Whether it's streak of games, and sometimes goal scorers, they get hot, they score, everything's going in. Then you might have 10 games where you score 1 goal because it's just not happening. I think this is just that time where it's not going to happen for them this year. I just don't see it. They've got a rookie coach, right? Or a year or 2, whatever he's been in there. He hasn't been in there long enough. And they just, who knows about the goaltending? Weber's gone, their leader. Kotkaniemi's gone. The other guys are still young. Suzuki's good. Caulfield, I like their players, but they're still young, right? Yeah. So I just don't have high expectations. They're 0 for 4. So Ottawa is going to get more points. than Montreal Canadiens this year, without a shadow of a doubt. And I got $100 in my pocket, Davey.
I would think so too, just because like if you're a Montreal Canadian player, you went to the Stanley Cup Finals last year. How can you now get up for games when you're missing Carey Price, you're missing Shea Weber, Kotkaniemi's gone, Joel Edmondson, who's a huge piece on that defensive core.
Who's that other guy?
They got
who's the other guy? The forward there. Danault? Philip Danault?
Danault's gone. Yeah,
Danault was solid. Danault was unreal defensively.
So that's what I mean. Like, there's
shut down guy, like fucking huge. Shut down guy.
There's been so many changes in Montreal, and just like you can't have that same energy. Like when you're going into a game, and you don't have Shea Weber there. Like, man, that's the heart and soul of that team. He's the captain. Came in, been the captain right away.
Right?
Carey Price, like, yeah, and you know he brings that element to the team that makes them good. Like he makes them rugged. He's like, I don't want to compare him to Gallagher, but he's a guy that brings you into the fight. Like, you know, if Shea Weber's out there cross-checking people and slashing guys, which he does fucking 100 times a game, and somehow only gets one penalty for it all the time. I remember last year in the postseason, he'd get on about his 8th slash on the same guy. He'd finally get a penalty. And then once the refs armed him, he'd get him about 20 more times and still no more penalties. So, but he brings the team into the battle. You don't have Weber, you don't have Price. You're not the same team. And you're right. You know, if you can't get up and the bounces aren't going to go your way, I predict Buffalo and Ottawa get more points in Montreal this year. That's what
I'm not sure about I'm not sold on the Buffalo one. I think they just got a little hot.
It depends when Price comes back. If Price is gone.
You know who might get more points in Montreal though as well is Detroit.
I don't think so.
Never know.
Yeah.
Oh, I think Detroit's going to get more points than Buffalo.
Yeah.
Thing in there is kind of what I'm saying. You're saying Buffalo's going to get more, but anyways, doesn't matter. Ottawa's making the playoffs and being released in the first round. Oh.
And then the last thing we want to talk about was the Chicago Blackhawks years. We both had them in the playoffs, I think, too. So I'm not too concerned with Chicago. You know, you're just getting Taves back. The guy needs some time to get into game shape. I don't care how much he was working out, how good he looked in camp. When you're not playing the NHL for a year, it's going to take you, 4 weeks, 6 weeks to adjust. Fleury's got to get comfortable in net there. I see Chicago still having a decent year and making the playoffs, but a really slow start for Chicago. They're obviously missing Duncan Keith. He's a leader on defense, but we'll see how that play out. I still like the Blackhawks, man. Just they're my favorite team in the West ever since that run with Taves when we all thought Taves was one of the best players in the world.
The Mark Messier.
Keith and Seabrook were the best defensive pairing for a good 5 years in the NHL. Patty Kane was the best player in the league, and just all the depth. Shark, Bufflin, Shazi, just such a good team. Yeah, just such a good team. Future guest of the show. But, I love to see Chicago going here. So let's get Chicago going, and there we go.
I love it. Okay, guys, one thing I want to talk about here is your Belleville Senators. So all you have to do to win this, we're doing a prize draw. Belleville Senators, look at this. Autograph stick. Hard to see the autographs because of the light and the glare. What a beauty. We're giving this away on this podcast. Well, so all you have to do if you're hearing this is tag a friend on our Facebook post. Simple as that. As soon as you tag the friend, boom, you're entered. Both of you guys are entered. You and your friend.
Yeah.
And we're going to draw one name, and the winner wins this Belleville Senators autograph stick. So,
and we'll draw that in the next episode there, Brokey, too.
Next episode, let's do it. Why not, right? Next week. So to go on with the Belleville Senators, we just like to say that they have a big weekend coming up. They're playing the Cleveland Monsters, which is Columbus Blue Jackets farm team. And they play both games are at home Friday night and Saturday night, both at 7 p.m. So get out, support the team, get your tickets, get to the game, enjoy it, get back to life, enjoying life, being able to go do things. You do have to be fully vaccinated, which I think is the provincial rules. I think everybody should know that by now. But go out, enjoy it, have fun. It's going to be great. It's the second best league in North America. Mm-hmm. And we have it here in Belleville, guys. You're going to see us at lots of games, especially me. I'm a big Belleville Senators and Ottawa Senators fan, as you can tell. So I'm going to be at lots of games throughout the year. And especially hopefully they make the playoffs and they go deep in the playoffs. So we just want to give a shout out to them. They support us. So we always want to support the teams and the organizations and the businesses who support us, right? So anyways, guys, Belleville Senators, sign stick. There's NHL players on here. It's free. Go, B-Sens, go.
For sure, yeah, well said, buddy. And just one thing, I was at the Leafs Senators game Saturday night. I probably should have led with that earlier in the show here because that's a pretty big thing for BOOclub Sports. But it was so nice to be back out at a sporting event. Like, man, there wasn't sold out, but there were 15,000 people in that building. It was such an amazing atmosphere to be in. I can't wait to get out to more games, like just the B-Sens, Blue Jays, anything like that. I'm so excited to get, like, everyone's vaccinated now. Get back out, start enjoying life again. It's time to I want to tread lightly, but time to move on with our lives here and get back out and support the Belleville Senators, local hockey, and hockey everywhere. If you love watching hockey and this is what you love to do, get out there and support and enjoy your life. It's time. And I was happy to go to the Leaf Senators game the other night, and I will be at the Belleville Senators game Saturday as well.
And you know what? While we're on here, we talk about local sports. There's lots of other hockey around. We'll talk. This is a hockey show. I know the Picton Pirates are in Napanee tomorrow night. That's a big game. They're probably one battle for first place throughout the year. Trenton, the last I heard, was 7-0. And the best team in Ontario for junior A hockey, and Wellington's right behind them, not far behind them. So I mean, there's a lot, and that goes. Then there's senior A in Tweed. I hear they got some pretty good goalies in Tweed, Lovies and Lesage. Both those guys skated with me when I had ice last year and a little bit this year. So they're the goalies. So there's a ton of hockey to go out and watch, guys. Get out and support it. Stop hiding. You can watch Netflix anytime. So get out, enjoy life, guys. Get out and watch some hockey. I know I can't wait to. So I just thought I give shout outs to all these other guys, organizations as well, especially my old Trenton. I know it was a sting when I played. But to be the best team right now in Ontario, out of what there's, I don't even know, 70 teams. I don't even know.
And we're talking. Right? You were kind of mentioned about the Sting and the Dukes and that old rivalry. The Battle of Ontario Hockey Podcast has something big going back to the that rivalry back in the day. So next week, tune in, guys. We may have a guest who was deep in the fire of those battles. That was probably 10 or 12 years ago. Well, before you played, right?
More than that, buddy. More than that.
More 15 years ago. But man, you remember those playoff series between the Dukes and Trenton back in the day? They were electric. I remember it just every single year it kind of played out like this, that the Sting would beat Wellington in Wellington. Like, that arena was just a little bit smaller and they were able to squeak it out. And then you go to Trenton, that extra 5 feet of ice, the Dukes would win there. So it was just, I remember going to those games. It was always fun. And we have a guest coming on who is an ex-Trenton Sting player. I don't know if you want to give the name out, Brokey, but an entertaining guy. Everyone will know him around town, and we can't wait to do this next week for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. This is going to be a really good one. So back in those days, I know for anybody who's younger, you go to a game now and they're like, it's sold out. It's sold out. But there's room. Yeah. There's usually seats open, whether people aren't there in their seats or they're standing, but you're fired up and sold out. I'm telling you, the old Wellington rink, it was tiny. When they said it was sold out, you couldn't fucking move. Yeah. Like, I remember going to games. One game, and this is before I played junior, a couple of years before. They set up tables, just the tables, in the corners for people to stand on, so they could see over 3 or 4 people deep. Like, it was nuts. And I remember one time there was like 8 people on this table, and the fucking table goes down, and all these people just boom right on the other. Oh, it was awesome. But like that rink was Mafia. But even Trenton's rink, I remember going with Eamon to watch. I don't think his brother was playing yet, but it was before they renovated, so still wooden. It was kind of like the Memorial in Belleville, if you guys, for anybody that's probably what you can compare it to. Not as big, obviously, but pretty big. And I remember going in there, and Eamon and I could barely see the game. Like, it was fucking jammed. Like, when I mean jammed, I mean, like, the fire marshals would be suing these guys. That's how bad it was back in the day. And that was the year I think they had that big brawl, which we're going to talk about. I don't know whether we should say the name or not, because
get the name up, buddy. Get the name up.
No, he said he's in, so we'll be good. But let's just not say the name and just give hints. So the guy playing, what's that?
Watson.
Yeah, Watson. He's known as Watson in this new series on Netflix, even though it's not him, but they had screwed up the wording in the video. That he played many, many years pro, was known as a tough guy, and actually played a couple games in the AHL for the Providence Bruins. He's coached for a long time. So that's all we're going to say. And we're very excited because the guy's got to have lots of stories. And I know even just talking to Trent and Wellington, it's going to be fun to just reunite that. And I know they have a battle now, and we're not downplaying the way it is now, but because Trent and Wellington have had really good teams the last few years. But it was more rough and tough, rugged style then, which fit to this guy's game.
It's just like our age demographic, right? Like, it's our nostalgia moment. Like, I'm not saying the rivalry is any less right now, but but to us, like that's like peak rivalry for us, like those years, right? Kind of thing.
We would have been like 12 years old, kind of maybe.
Oh, I can remember when the brawl happened. I can remember I was in high school, so I was either in like grade 9 or 10, and I remember I think it was like I don't remember. So it was like Graydon, a bunch of us anyway. I think there was 3 or 4 of us. We went to Bayside. We drove down to the Trenton Arena, or someone drove us down to the Trenton Arena right after school. Say like school's out at 4:00, and we waited in that fucking line for like 3 hours. It was packed. Like we got there at 4:00, and like there was a line like halfway, like to Harvey's from the Trenton Arena. Like it was you know, you could fit 1,000 people in it, and there were 1,000 people in there. Like at 5 o'clock.
There's fucking 2,000 because clearly it was. I remember those rinks back then, and now you can't probably get away with it. The fire marshals are probably a little bit more strict. It was nuts. Like it was just packed, and it was awesome, and it was so loud. And I know the playoffs they get like that too. Like I went to a playoff game in Trenton a couple of years ago, and it was pretty good. Like she was pretty packed. I know it wasn't like in the aisles packed, but so you know, and they've done well. They've done really well. So we're excited, and maybe he could talk a bit about then. He can talk about, you know, in between and even the future. He also did coach Trenton for 1 year, I believe. Yeah. And he's coached Junior C for many years and won championships and all this stuff. So we're excited to have him on. So that's our first guest in season 2 of the Battle of Ontario Hockey podcast, and we have many more coming lined up. So it's going to be awesome. The next thing I want to talk about, which actually you were just touching on a little bit with the going to games and being at the Leaf game, is the attendance in the NHL. So just for instance, obviously Toronto's had some games where they're not sold out. I think the tickets they said were like 98%, which is pretty much. But like you say, you were at a game on a Saturday night versus Ottawa, and there was some open seats because obviously scalpers have them and maybe they didn't sell them.
It was the first Saturday night game back from COVID too. Like it was the first Leaf Saturday night game back, and it wasn't sold out. So
are you concerned? I have a theory on this. Are you concerned, or what's your thoughts on it, maybe?
Well, I'm not so much concerned for the Leafs, but as a whole, I'm very concerned for the NHL. And I think I'm concerned because like I think it kind of like establishes people's pecking order, like especially in the States. Like as you said Pittsburgh didn't sell out for the first time in a while, right? I think it was like 14 or 15 years.
That was the thing. So Pittsburgh, I read the other day, Pittsburgh Penguins 14-year consecutive sellout streak has been broken. It means they didn't sell out a game for the first time in 14 years.
Yeah.
Which is odd because you don't need both vaccinations to get into a game in the States, right? Well, in Canada you do. Do you? Or I don't.
You do in Canada. I don't know. In the States, it depends by what like not province, but state you live in. Every state, it's like Ontario. Each state has a different mandate. But the reason why I'd be concerned if I was in the States, because I think it's shown like people in the States have like chosen their pecking order. Like people are going to football games. People are going to college football games. Like, man, you get a college football game with like 120,000 fucking people there. Like, it's not that people aren't going out to events. They're just choosing what to go to. Like, they're going to their baseball games. They're, going to basketball. Hockey's obviously still at the bottom of that pecking order in the States. And we all know that the attendance in Canada will pick up. People are still a little hesitant because of COVID and the vaccines. But I think with the numbers going down, that's going to jump back up. And I think a lot of people, too, that don't have the vaccines are probably a lot of people that attend the games, as we've kind of found out lately. But I would be concerned about the NHL just in the States because I think it's pretty clear. The audience has shown what they want to go to, and hockey's just not the number one there. And it's not making any headway, I don't think. So that's my main concern with it.
Well, hockey's never been the number one there. It's never.
I know that.
I agree with you there. Like the other night, I think now mind you, this is a Sunday night at 5 o'clock. Mm-hmm. I think it's a terrible time. But Ottawa plays a lot of those games. They had, I think it was like 8,500 people at the game. Terrible. Mm-hmm. Bad timing. I think tonight, if I was to guess by just seeing the screen, I'm going to say 10, 12, somewhere in that range, which isn't horrible for a Thursday night. We'll see. I'm going to the game on Saturday versus the Rangers, so I'll be able to be able to see what's there, to hear it, see whether it's true or not, because sometimes they like to fluff up the numbers. Not Ottawa, but everybody in general. But anyways, it'll be interesting. The one thing I will take away from this, and I know you and I have both learned this through Pay It Forward Sports, is when they say 80 or 90%, whatever it is, have the vaccination, there's a lot more people that, and I'm not saying that number's wrong, but there's a lot more people our age that don't have it. Like that.
Yeah.
And
I think it's the demographic that goes to games.
Yeah. So like if you've got 70 years old or 60 years old and up, 99% of those people have it. Well, that means that you got another 10, it might only be 70% of people our age have it right now. So little bit tougher, and those are the people that are going out, they're spending money. So you can only sell to 70% of the people, right? And I can attest to this with one of my businesses, my travel agency, where it's like we're selling, but we can only, less than half people are going to travel right now. I'm one of them, but they are. So that means right away you only have 50% maximum, probably less, that you can even sell to that might travel, right? So it's a tough situation, but the good thing is I think we're over the hump. At least we better be. And with all these, and we're going forward. More people are getting back. We have people we dealt with tournaments and stuff. And hey, can people play that only have one vaccination? No, they can't. But it's coming, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it is coming. It might just take a little longer. And I think come January, February, numbers will go up. There's going to be, more in depth of the season. We're just in the start. And come playoff time, I think things will be fine and we'll be sold out places.
I kind of wonder too if like people were hesitant to buy season tickets, like your regular season ticket holders, because at the you want deposits for season tickets like 2.5 months ago, right, kind of thing. So 2.5 months ago, numbers are still going up with COVID. You're kind of thinking, do I really want to drop 10 or 15 grand on season tickets this year when I don't know how many games I'm going to get. I don't know what the refund policy is going to be. So maybe that's a little bit of hesitation too. Is maybe just I know some guys for the Senators that had the Belleville Senators that had season tickets and just chose not to renew because not so much they didn't want to go, they just didn't know how the season was going to play out, right? So I think that's kind of a little bit too. But I think as we get rolling here, I think attendance is going to pick back up, especially in Canada. And hockey's our game here in Canada. I mean, there's going to be no problem with attendance. We're going to be selling everywhere, including the CAA arena in Belleville. So I'm excited for the year and excited how it's going to play out here, Brokey.
Yeah. So one thing we got left was champ or chump. I'm going to be honest. I have not done any scouting for this. We actually threw this in last minute, guys. That's why it's one of the last things we're going to do today. But I said, let's do it because I love showing the belt on my shoulder. The week after. So what we're going to do, guys, is champ or chump. We have a champion and a chump. Usually I'm the champ and Fleming's the chump because he's a chump.
Oh, Brokey, how many times last year, buddy? What was
I came back and whipped your ass.
You came back. It was like 14
yeah.
to 2.
I count fucking ties as a win. If you tie, you tie. You didn't win.
I didn't give myself a number. I didn't give myself a number on the win category. But if I held the belt, I'm still the champion,
anyways,
buddy.
The rules is we pick a game. We pick games every game on a Saturday. So let's start with Saturday. Do you want to go first? You want me? Actually, let's see who plays first. Because Ottawa plays first.
Yeah, Ottawa Rangers. I'll give you the honors on this one.
Okay, well, I'm taking Ottawa. Are you going to write these? Why don't you write these down? Do you have a pen?
Yep.
Grab a pen and write them down because that way we don't have to go through the whole video 17 times.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to take Ottawa. Who do you got?
Rangers.
I knew you'd do that. Okay, so then Fleming's up next, and can we go by NHL? Just
go ahead.
Is that where you're on?
Tell me who's playing, and I'll write.
Okay, Calgary is at Washington.
Washington.
Yeah, I'm going to take. I'll take Washington as well. So my pick, I'm going to go. It's the Ducks are visiting Minnesota. Minnesota's 3-0. That Kirill Kaprizov, big contract. We didn't even talk about him. We'll have to talk about him this year. I'm sure we will because the guy's real. Phenomenal player from Russia. Actually, kind of bluffed and said, the rumor is he kind of bluffed and said, hey, if you don't sign me to a big contract, I'm going back to Russia. And then after he signed the contract, one of the reporters said, were you actually going to go back to Russia? And he's like, not a chance.
Yeah, I know.
It's just bluffing. I fucking love it. But then who's the guy there? Is it Guerin? Bill Guerin?
Yeah, Bill Guerin, yeah.
He just said that or something. But I'm going to take Minnesota just because.
Yeah, I'm going to take Minnesota too, just because I think Minnesota's the better team. I think Minnesota's going to be a solid all-around team this year, and the Ducks just really aren't. So give me the Wild.
Okay, so here's one for you. You're up first. Detroit is at the Habitants of Montreal.
I will say, how'd you get way down there, Brokey? Holy, but I'm going to say...
I'm on NHL Network.
I'm going to say the Montreal Canadiens get their first win of the year at home on Saturday night. So give me the Montreal Canadiens over the Detroit Red Wings.
I'm going to say Detroit, and I'm going to say they're going to start 0-6 after they lose tonight, and the coach is done. Screw you, Davey. Okay, so I've got it's my go. I guess it doesn't matter who goes.
Oh, there's a lot of games Saturday night. Let's get moving on.
That's great. Yeah, so Colorado is in Tampa Bay.
Woo!
Is McKinnon back? I don't think he will be. Will he?
I don't know.
It's hard because we're a couple days away, so it's hard guessing these.
Yeah.
I kind of want to say, I'm going to say Colorado.
I'm going to say Colorado too, just because last year it seemed like every Saturday night I would bet on Tampa Bay and they'd always lose. Didn't matter if they fucking played Detroit, they'd somehow lose. Do you remember when we started out betting the score system and we put like all our money on Tampa Bay? Like one there, it was the day Patrick Laine got traded away from I don't remember how they played it. Yeah, it was the day the Dubois trade happened and they lost the Blue Jackets. I can't bet on the Lightning on a Saturday night, so give me the Avalanche.
And the funny thing is, the other team in Florida, the Panthers, were phenomenal on Saturdays. They won every Saturday. That's Billy McKay. He was in my pool, and he. Anyways, okay, so you're up. Buffalo at the Devils.
Give me the Devils.
And look at this right now. Looking at it, the Devils are 2-0. The Buffalo's 3-0.
About
I'm
for
going to
first
say
place.
Buffalo. Why not? Just for you, Daffy. Just for you. We got a lot of different picks here. Okay, we all. And your go or my go?
My go.
Okay. Florida is at Philadelphia.
I'm going to take Florida. I think Florida's a really good team, really underrated team. Don't get a lot of press out there, but yeah, I'm going to go with the Panthers. I don't think Philadelphia's all they're cracked up to be.
I'm going to take Florida too. I think they have a chance to win the whole conference. I really do. I mean,
yeah.
I think it's between them, the Leafs, Boston, and Tampa Bay. I think that's the top four right there in that conference. So I think Florida, they're 3-0. They got one of the best, if not the best coach. They got Barkov. They're just a phenomenal team. Ekblad. So yeah, let's stick with them. So next on my list, and it would be my go, I guess, is the Leafs at Pittsburgh.
Toronto.
I'll just say Pittsburgh just because I hate the Leafs. Okay, you're up. Carolina at Columbus.
I'm going to take Carolina at Columbus. I'm going to take the home team. Give me Columbus Blue Jackets.
I'll take Carolina. Okay, Nashville's at Winnipeg. I'm going to take the Peg. They're 0-2-1. They got to bounce back. They got to get something going. They got too good of a team to start so shitty. So I'm taking the Peg.
Yeah, I'm taking Winnipeg too. I think that's not an easy one for me here, but I think maybe this is more just so kind of cheering for Winnipeg a little bit. I always say they're so good down the middle of the ice. Like they've got to be a decent team just because of the three centers they have. So give me Winnipeg.
Okay, LA is at the Blues. St. Louis Blues.
I'm gonna take the Blues. I'll take the home team in that one.
And I'm taking the Blues too. I just think they're too good of a team. I don't think LA's making that big jump yet, but maybe we're wrong on that. So my go, the Islanders, who are 1-2, are against the Arizona Coyotes. I'm going with the Islanders. I like them. There's something Lou is just. I don't agree with the things he does, but I love how he's that guy. And I love what they've done there, their team. We've talked about Barzell and so many guys in their team before. And again, if not the best coach, the second best coach in the league.
Yeah, that's pretty easy for me.
I love those guys.
Unless Chris Pronger's playing, I'm not going to take Arizona. So I'm going to take the Islanders.
What about two-time Stanley Cup champion Phil Kessel? Okay, last game in a year ago is there it is here. We got a new battle. This will be the new rivalry. The newest rivalry in sports is Vancouver Canucks versus Seattle Kraken.
Brokey, I picked the Canucks to make the playoffs this year, and I'm not going to back down. I'm going the Canucks and Thrasher Demko to beat the new Kraken.
I'll take the Kraken. I don't know. I'm just not a Canucks fan. I don't know what it is, guys.
Well, I'm not a Canucks fan either, but
it's a beautiful city. I want to go again. I'd watch a game there, but Pedersen is good. I don't know, guys. But anyways, there's our picks. You want to throw the belt and $20 on it or what?
Yeah, sure. We can throw the belt and $20 on it. One thing I also did want to say, though, I just want to thank another sponsor, Ben from BIHC in Belleville. They're a proud sponsor of Pay It Forward Sports and BOOclub Sports. So, guys, these guys are a multi-faceted healthcare facility. If you're in any kind of pain whatsoever, whether it's for, need your back looked at, arthritis, tennis elbow, concussion issues, things like that, go see Ben and his team and Ben and Maddie at BIHC in Belleville on Bell Boulevard. Correct, Brokey?
Yep, you bet. These guys are awesome. I see them all the time. I'm ready to see you again, Benny. I need you to loosen up here. I've been working too much asphalt. Anyways, can just anything else on the show? I hear the guys on the B show with the BOOclub Sports are complaining and chirping me. So I'm just wondering if they got their sweaters yet, because maybe that's why maybe JM's just mad he's on the B show, not the A show. But sorry, buddy. Hopefully Fleming will get you your sweater soon. And if you need to let me know. I'll get Mylene to make you one.
JM has a sweater. I gave it to him at the same time he stole your sandwich. So.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He did wear it for that golf tournament.
Yeah,
that he left early on. Oh, no, he was eating my sandwiches. That's where he was. I thought he left early when he was in the bushes. But anyways, if you're going to check out another show and you love football, NFL football, Fleming, tell the fans about the NFL football.
Yeah, so the BOOclub Sports has a football talk podcast where we give you our picks and prediction for the week. Going through week 6, BOOclub Sports NFL analyst Chris Garrison, I think, is 21-3 on his picks so far on the year. I think I'm at about 19-5. So between the two of us, I mean, I think we got about 40 wins and 8 losses. So that ain't bad. They say if you're a gambler, if you go 53%, you're in the money. And BOOclub Sports is definitely in the money this year, boys. So if you're going to throw a little cheddar down in the games this week, check out the BOOclub Sport Football Show on YouTube, on Spotify, and wherever you stream your podcasts.
All right, Flem, I got one question for you, buddy.
What is it?
Are you in?
The BOOclub.
Go, B-Sens, go. Go, B-Sens, go. Beat the Monsters this weekend.